So let me start today with this. Does anybody listening know what signaling is? Have you heard of that term, signaling? If you're an econ or a business guy, chances are you know where I'm going with this. Signaling is the art of explaining direct things using indirect signs. So, for example, let's say you go to a great economics school and you get a degree, a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, and you graduate and you apply for jobs. The piece of paper in its regular form means absolutely nothing. It's a piece of paper. But what it does is it signals to potential employers, hey, he's smart, he's capable, he's nimble, he has a skill set, he can get the job done for us. That's what signaling is. The piece of paper means nothing. The direct thing means nothing, but what comes with it means a lot. It could get you a job, or in sports, it could mean a lot of different things. Case in point, with the Bears quarterback competition, Matt Nagy came out and said on Saturday that he has no clue who the starting quarterback is going to be. Mum is the word around Hallis Hall. There will be no announcement made before the season begins, nothing. And at the moment, the competition is quote-unquote tied. Here's a quote from Nagy. Get this. He says, quote, "For us, we like where they're at, but that's an internal question for our coaches. There's more gamesmanship than anything, but we do know that there can definitely be improvement for both of them. They're making good decisions. There are times that they're making good throws, but there are times that they're making throws they'd like to have back. I'll put it this way. Intentionally, I'm not going to give you any direction right now." That's what Matt Nagy said to the media on Saturday. Now, there are two different ways you can interpret that. First of all, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe for gamesmanship purposes, for the Lions and their scouting purposes, they really don't want them to know who they're starting game one. It's a possibility. It's strategic. Nagy is a strategic guy. I can see it. But there's another possibility that I think is a bit more true. And this ties back to signaling. Right now, I don't think the Bears really know who their starting quarterback is going to be. It's a toss-up at this point. Now, we've said on this show that Mitchell Trubisky will start week one. Trubisky is the guy that management and owners, they back, right? You don't want to give up on a draft pick. If the Bears don't start him, if the Bears make him their backup, they pretty much concede to everybody that Mitch is not the guy. That means they whiffed again on drafting a quarterback or acquiring a quarterback, Cade McNown, Jay Cutler. They never get it right. And that also means that, guess what? They're going to have to look for another already. So they don't want to do that to start the season. They don't want to tell people, hey, it's over. We missed the boat again, and now we have some veteran as a bridge quarterback until next year. That's not the signal they want to put out there. So I believe Trubisky will start game one. But this quote from Nagy has signaling written all over it. It tells everybody that they don't know who they're going to start. It tells everybody that the competition is about even and they have no clue. That's not a good thing. What that tells people is that there's no clear difference between Trubisky and Foles. And if you're a Bears fan, that should frighten you. That should make you cringe a bit. Because last time I checked, they brought in Foles to revamp the quarterback position, to have somebody to truly compete with Trubisky and maybe beat him out and be an improvement over what Trubisky already offers. That was the point of bringing in Nick Foles. Officially. I said from the very beginning, the Bears should have gone after better free agents. Jameis Winston was out there. Andy Dalton was out there. Tom Brady was available. They were all out there. And the Bears decided, let's trade for Nick Foles, give up a draft pick and get him. Then we'll pay him. We'll sign him to a new contract and pay him money to come here and be something. Because apparently at the time they didn't know if he'd be the starter. Think about that for a second. That's the way the Bears approached this entire situation. Now we sit here 2 weeks away from opening day, from week 1, and the quote is, we don't know. Really? No clue? There's been no indication they've played even right down the middle? That should tell you that the trade for Foles wasn't worth it. That should tell you that this whole thing is to just give Trubisky a bit of a nudge, a bit of a push, and have him start. That's what that tells me. That's signaling. This whole competition, all it is an opportunity for Trubisky to feel some pressure. If they brought in Winston or Newton or Dalton or Brady, Trubisky would have been blown out of the water like that. It would have been that quick. The competition would have been over. They would have had to concede to everybody that Trubisky was not the guy. It would have been a dumpster fire. Let's be honest here. It would not have been good if that were the case. But if they bring in somebody who's just good enough, who is a journeyman, who's done a little bit in the NFL, and he can compete with Trubisky, then Trubisky just gets that nudge and ends up starting. It was by design. It was like this from day one. And Matt Nagy's quotes have, without a doubt, confirmed it. Now we know. This was the plan from the very beginning. They could have gone after anyone they wanted to. They could have paid some money and brought in a quality quarterback. No. They brought in a Super Bowl MVP, yes, but a career-long journeyman to compete with Trubisky because Chase Daniel was no competition and Trubisky felt a bit too comfortable. They had to bring in somebody to get him out of his comfort zone a bit and realize, hey, I have to compete for this job. That was the whole point of this quarterback search in the offseason. Had they wanted to get somebody who was good, it would have been unfair for Trubisky. It would have been a problem. Trubisky would have lost the competition easily. And they would have had to tell everybody, we screwed up again at the quarterback position. We did it again. And that's not going to help anyone involved. It's not going to help Ryan Pace's case, the drafting guru, who has made some good picks, but he did draft Kevin White and Trubisky. It's not going to help Matt Nagy. If he gives up on Trubisky, what does that say about him? That he couldn't conform to Trubisky's needs? That he's not a player's coach? See, there are a lot of different aspects here. It's not just clear-cut, black and white, who's going to start game one. If we're basing it solely on performance, Nick Foles would probably have the edge. He'd probably start. Writers are saying right now that Foles is slightly better than Mitch in training camp. That's been widely publicized. We all know. But the thing is, if you move away from Mitch, you concede everything. You tell everybody he wasn't the guy. He wasn't good enough. We missed the boat again. That's the issue with all of this. That's why Mitch will start week one, whether you like it or not, whether anyone likes it or not. He's going to be there. He has to be. He has one more year. This is it. They declined his fifth-year option. That was a huge story. We talked about it. Everybody talked about it. This is it. That's another signal. Declining the fifth-year option tells everybody, and tells Mitch, this is it. This is your last year. If you can make something of yourself, we'll pay you. You can stay. If you don't, you're cut. And it is surprising that we've gotten to that point, because remember, 2018 Mitch was not bad at all. And I said wrongly at the time that this is the beginning. Mitch is only going to get better. He had a 95 passer rating. I thought he played relatively well in the NFC wildcard game against the Eagles. Should have won it if it wasn't for the Parkey missed kick. And I thought it was only up from there. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was a lot of people wrong. But unfortunately, that's the case today. So by moving off of Mitch, by saying he's done, tells everybody you're done. You made the wrong decision. And nobody wants to face that crowd. Nobody wants to answer questions pertaining to the bad pick about Mitch, why they're not starting him, and what it means for the team's future. If they move off of Mitch, they need a new quarterback. And they can't sign anybody. They need to home grow a new quarterback. The Bears need a franchise quarterback. You can't go out and win a Super Bowl signing one-year deals and picking up the trash heap of the free agent market. It's not going to work. Nick Foles, as good as he is not leading the Bears to a Super Bowl. Nor would Cam Newton, nor would Andy Dalton. None of them would. They need a franchise guy. So there's a lot to be said indirectly via signaling based on Matt Nagy's quotes. Saying that there's no true edge, saying that we're not going to say anything, proves to me that, you know what? This whole competition is even. No one's standing out. And Trubisky will start game one. He will. Questions will be answered maybe at the end of the year, but they have to give him a fair chance. They have to. This is it. So I'm very curious and very excited to see what happens come game one and the rest of the year. But know this and keep this always in the back of your head. Mitch Trubisky is the draft pick. He's the guy the Bears truly invested in. And they're not going to move off him just like that. It's not going to happen. They will give him as much time as he needs because they know if he doesn't work out, if this experiment doesn't work out, they're back to the drawing board for their franchise. And nobody wants that. More to come here on Sports Talk Chicago. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.